Canelo Alvarez is taking on Terrence Crawford this weekend, and as an MMA fan, I don't care at all. I do not care as much as the UFC wants to push this down our throat. I just don't care. I'll watch it. I'm sure I'll watch this. I'll watch this 12-round boring fest where these guys are just going to hug each other, but I'm not interested, man. I'd much rather watch Gene Silva and Diego Lopez go at it. But in today's video, I wanted to answer the age-old question: boxing or mixed martial arts? It's a question that people have talked about since the dawn of MMA, and I think it is obvious. For me, it's obvious, but for a lot of people at home, including you guys, it may not be obvious. So before we get into all that good stuff, before we get into my ranking of certain stuff, make sure to subscribe, man. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at like 980. We're 20 subscribers away. It takes 1 second, and it would mean a lot, dude. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing that I'm going to be ranking MMA and boxing off of, deciding who is better, it's going to be entertainment. Overall entertainment. Which genre of sport provides me happiness when I am watching it? Which one am I more excited to see? So let's talk about it, man. We'll start off with MMA, and I think MMA is simply one of the most entertaining sports in the world. It genuinely is. When there is a banging UFC card, that whole day before, I am just excited for it. That whole day leading up to it, I am excited for it. You guys should have seen me when it was UFC 319 fight day, and I knew we had Dricus du Plessis versus Hamza Chimaev the next day. Dude, it was insane. It was literally insane. I was so excited. And boxing, for me, I've really just never seen a live boxing match. Absolutely crazy. In the last 5 years, we've probably gotten 10 fights in the last 5 years that have just been all-out wars, and I'm just guessing, man. That's a guess, and I'm probably highballing it. I'm honestly probably highballing it, because every time I see a boxing fight, I go in there expecting high stuff. I expect to see world-class boxers with the foot movement, with the insane knockout power, and I see them hugging each other. I see them just kissing each other. I see the ref separating them every 5 seconds. And you can say, well, you do the same thing in MMA. They do the same thing in MMA. They take each other down. Okay, brother, there is a very big difference between the most skilled wrestler in the world taking you down, trying to gain position, trying to submit you, versus just literally watching two dudes hug. I'm just simplifying it as much as you can, dude, because that is literally what it is. Like, I'm not trying to make a joke or anything. When they hug, how am I supposed to find entertainment in that? There is nothing in that. In this photo I have right here for boxing, you see Canelo Alvarez taking a jab at William's skull, and that is what most fights of Canelo Alvarez take. That's what happens in most of them, brother. A jab. That's it. Oh, they're gonna hug. Brother, I would rather watch Joshua Van versus Brennan Royval 1,000 times and watch 5 Canelo fights in a row. God, you guys don't understand. If you're not an MMA fan, if you clicked on this video and you're a boxing fan, go back, watch Joshua Van versus Brennan Royval, UFC 317. Maybe that fight in itself will change your perspective on what sport you think is better. But entertainment, for me, I'm gonna give it to the UFC, man. The UFC is just so much more entertaining. I don't care, man. I mean, just for me, at least. For me. So that is 1-0 in terms of pure entertainment going towards the UFC. Moving on, or mixed martial arts is going to, but moving on, the next thing that we're going to rank these two things based off of its star power. Star power, overall star power, how well known you are, how good you are, how entertaining you are, how well people know you, how well people make TikToks about you, dude. If people are making TikTok edits about you, well, then you have star power. So let's talk about it, man. We have MMA. I'll choose one of the biggest stars in MMA, Ilia Topuria, and for boxing, I have Dimitri Bivol. He's a star. He's up there, but for some reason, the narrative I see around boxing, the narrative I've seen a bunch of promoters, Oscar De La Hoya, saying is, bro, boxing, we have the stars. MMA, your Conor McGregors are gone. You guys don't have anybody. I could not disagree more. I could not literally disagree more. Dimitri Bivol, he's 34. Canelo Alvarez, he's 35. Terrence Crawford's about to hit 40. They're old. They are all old. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, they are all old. And sure, they have some name value. Maybe this year, maybe 2025, 2026, we might be able to sneak some of those in. But when 2027 hits, when we're in 2030, Ilia Topuria will still be around knocking guys out. Paddy Pimblett's gonna be there putting guys in freaking triangle locks. MMA just has a far more younger audience as well. The audience you gotta look at. No one is gonna care about boxing in 10 years when we have these randoms fighting. We're gonna want to see MMA. I would say that MMA has the bigger stars as of right now. Guys like Ilia Topuria, a self-made star, one of the biggest names in just the world right now. We're never gonna get a Conor McGregor 2.0, but if there was a Conor McGregor 2.0, it would be Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is the closest thing we will get in terms of star power to Conor McGregor. But we also have guys like Alex Pereira. I know I already made that age argument about boxing. I said guys in boxing are old and they're all unk. Alex Pereira is an unk as well, but what he's done at his age, dude. He's 37 years old, doing 3 title defenses in a year. This guy can easily move up to heavyweight. Not easily, but he can move up to heavyweight and still be a champion. I honestly can see Alex Pereira being a thing in MMA for like 2 more years to come, dude. And we still have Alex Pereira for a while. There's just so much guys in the UFC, so much young prospects, like guys like Joshua Van, who are going to win the title, potentially has the opportunity to become one of the youngest UFC champions ever. Guys like Malcolm Wellmaker, Peyton Talbot, just opening up to the new audience on TikTok that is doing so much for MMA. And MMA has the star power, brother. I'm not seeing boxing edits made of these random guys, because I challenge you, if you are a fan of, if you're going to watch Canelo versus Crawford this weekend, which I will be doing, name 3 fighters on the undercard. Name 3 fighters on the undercard. You can't name 3 fighters other than Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford on that entire card. You can't, and that is just crazy to me. MMA, you see cards like UFC 317, UFC 314. Most casuals can name at least 2 fighters on that card. But I don't even know who's fighting on the undercard of Canelo Crawford. I genuinely just do not. It's crazy to me how we got to pay $80 for Canelo Alvarez to take on Terence Crawford. You know, this pay-per-view is a little bit of an exception. It's not even a pay-per-view. It's on Netflix. So this one's a little bit of an exception. It's free this time pretty much if you have Netflix. But fights like the ones we've had before in the past couple months, the Ryan Garcia fights, the Alexander Usyk fights, we got to pay $80 just to see one fight. Really, most people are paying $80 to see one fight. I mean, I know I've never illegally streamed a fight, so don't come for me. I've totally never illegally streamed a fight, but I mean, some people are actually going out there and paying $80 for these one fights. It's delusional to me. It's crazy to me. I have no idea how boxing fans are doing that. I don't remember the last time I've known anyone that's bought a boxing pay-per-view. Like, it's just not a thing anymore, and that's something that we're gonna touch on a little bit later in this video. MMA, UFC in general, we're not really going to be seeing pay-per-views. You know, I know I'm calling it MMA a lot in this video. I mostly mean UFC, but you guys know what I'm saying here. But moving on to the next category, we're going to rank these 2 sports off of politics. Something that boxing has definitely struggled with in the last couple years. And there's not much stuff in MMA. There's not a lot of stuff in MMA where we just see politics. Just simple, dimple politics, guys. We don't see Jake Paul taking on Mike Tyson in the UFC. Dana White, that's one of the things I'll give Dana White credit on. Bro, his entire career, he has never been one who's just gonna make these stupid fights. He's not gonna make freaking Joshua Van versus Conor McGregor. Yeah, Peyton Talbot, we're gonna be giving him the middleweight champion, Drix Duplessis. We're not here to make these stupid fights. We're not here to make these name value fights. We're not gonna put celebrities in the UFC. We're not gonna throw Jake Paul in there. Jake Paul is gonna be taking a Hamza Chimaev in a 5-round fight. No, that is delusional, brother. Tell me why I opened Instagram the other day and saw Mike Tyson taking on Floyd Mayweather, brother. Who wants to see those 60-year-old men with a wife and children, 15 grandchildren taking on each other? Because I know I don't want to see that. I know both of these guys are just fighting for the check, and that is another thing. Money in money in boxing, that comes with the politics. That comes with it, dude. It is a joke. It is an absolute joke, the amount of money these boxers are making, and it is a joke what they're doing with it. These suspicious acts that is happening with this new Turkey Al-Sheikh guy. This guy's suspicious, brother. We need to check this guy, brother. This is all weird. There's a bunch of examples of scandals in boxing, and there's not that many in MMA, dude. No one's ever died in. I mean, I'm getting off topic here. No one's ever died in MMA, but people have died outside in boxing. There's just so much stuff behind the scenes, so much money laundering, so much crazy stuff happening behind the scenes, and it's all for money in boxing. I know the UFC is all for money too, but it just feels more evident. It feels more obvious in boxing than it does for MMA. That is something that I'll give Dana White credit on. He's not trying to make these money fights, dude. He's trying to give us the best fighting the best, not Jake Paul taking on Logan Paul, man. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a war. Put that as a main event. Put that as a main event for an $80 pay-per-view. Everyone's gonna watch that. No, dude. And I think right now it's just clear who's winning, guys. It's very clear who's winning this right now. It is like 3-0 to MMA. It's 3-0. MMA has won the entertainment, they've won the star power, and they've won the politics. You see why there's a question mark for MMA and politics, because there's not a lot that happens in MMA that is suspicious, man. Unless we're talking about John Jones getting arrested for the 3rd time, then there's not a lot that's happening that's just suspicious, that has to do with money, that just has suspicious activity to it. We're not making these stupid fights all for the money in MMA. Boxing, you guys can do that. Moving on to the next category, we're going to be ranking these two sports off of promotion, guys. This is something where the UFC lacks. This is something where MMA in general just simply lacks. It says MMA, but we see a picture of the UFC CEO, Dana White. So this one's not really MMA. It's just UFC. But this is something that UFC lacks. In boxing, we get 4 fights in Times Square. 4 of some of the biggest fights we've seen in the last couple of years, headlining in literal Times Square. They put a ring in Times Square. I'm seeing promotions for this Fatal Fury. Look at this insane poster. We're seeing this constantly hyped up. Tell me, every time you open a UFC anything, if you see any ads, there's a good chance it's going to be Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. It's being shoved down our face, and as annoying as it is, it's working, man, because it has people talking about it. Meanwhile, in MMA, the leading up to a fight, we get Baldy, we get Dana White. What's up, fight fans? We are live. Then we're gonna be fighting. We got Trick Duplessis taking a Hamzat Chimaev. He is the most dead. You guys seen how Dana White announced JDM versus Islam Makhachev, a fight that has potential to affect the GOAT debate. Islam Makhachev, if he beats JDM, he will probably become the GOAT. We seen how Dana White. Yeah. What's the question? Yeah, we got Islam Makhachev. He's taking on what's the Aussie kid's name? JDM. Yeah, we're gonna make that fight for UFC 322. Just some of the most dead announcements ever. It's truly sad. Meanwhile, boxing is just clear of us in this one. I'm saying us like I'm in the UFC, but boxing is just so far ahead of UFC in terms of promotion, guys. It's not even close, man. It's not even close. However, I will say, MMA, if you're already into the sport, you don't need promotion, dude. You're going to watch it regardless. The UFC's already brainwashed us into that. If you're not a fan of boxing and you just watch it every once in a while when you know there's going to be a good card and you know it's being hyped up, and then you click on it and you see the two guys hugging each other, well, in MMA, it might not get promoted, but you know we're going to see 2 random guys on the prelims go to war. You know we're going to see 2 guys on Dana White's Contender Series go to war, as unpromoted as it is. But moving on to the final thing that we're going to be talking about today, it's going to be the price. The price. Potentially one of the most important factors if you are a fan of just combat sports in general. In recent years, we have seen pay-per-views prices absolutely skyrocket for no reason, when it seems like the quality of the cards is actually going down, man, because we're paying MMA fans. We're over here paying $80 to see Pantoja and Kaya Sakura main event a card. That is just disgraceful. But it's also something that's going to change. It's going to change a lot in 2026 because the UFC has announced a $7.2 billion deal with Paramount Plus. Meanwhile, boxing, although you have a one-time deal with Netflix here to do Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford, other than that, what are you guys going to do? Are you guys going to keep making your fans pay $80 for a card? Because if you're going to do that, well, then let me tell you, UFC, MMA in general, is going to take over the landscape of combat sports. No one is going to want to pay $80 to see a one-fight card. Because I'll ask you this question again. Name 3 fighters on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. You can't do that. MMA, it's 4-1 MMA. After this video, it's 4-1 MMA. The only thing that boxing won on was promotion, and I gotta give it to them. They won that by a long shot. However, you're promoting it, and then you get people to watch it, and then they see how much of a stinkfest it is. That's only gonna make you look stupid. When you were hyping this up as fight of the year, man, we got Rolly Romero taking on Ryan Garcia, man, fight of the year, and they jab, they hug for 12 rounds. That's not very entertaining, is it? You're losing fans. You're making yourself look stupid when you're promoting in this fight of the year, and it's definitely not the fight of the year, to say the least, man. But in conclusion, MMA is better than boxing, and MMA will only go on to continue to get better, dude. Boxing is an old sport, man. 100 years ago, people were boxing, people were getting riled about boxing, man. We were watching Marty Lewis piece up freaking Muhammad Ali, man. Now we are in 2025. It is a new era, the modern era, and MMA, UFC in general, is bigger than ever, and it will grow way bigger than boxing, man. That's my prediction, and that's just a fact. MMA is better than boxing. I'm still going to be watching Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez this weekend, and I'm still going to probably be having a jolly old time watching it. I love combat sports. But yeah, man, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below how you feel. If you are a diehard boxing fan, voice your opinion in my comment section, man. I want to know. But that's going to do it for today's video. And as always, MMA Outpost out.